Hey everyone, man, I have such a really good, cool, amazing, miraculous update, and I have waited so long to share this. I'm not sure exactly why, because it's super, super amazing. Anyway, for those of you that don't know my story, in November, I was diagnosed with metastatic breast cancer, stage 4. Basically means that it had gone to my bones. The scan that I had in I think it was the end of November showed that the cancer had had spread into my bones and was all over my bones in my body. They basically said it's very aggressive, all that kind of stuff. All the things that you don't want to hear, basically. And so the odds were not in my favor, basically. And so with that being said, fast forward to I think the last scan I had was in April. I had a PET scan, which is basically they scan your whole body. They put you in that little round machine and scoot you in there, scan and scoot you out. They scan your whole body so you could see basically everything that's going on in your body. And excuse me, I have a little bit of a raspy voice today. I'm overcoming somebody gave me their cooties on the way back from Sedona, Arizona, which if you haven't been there, by the way, it's amazing. I highly, highly recommend. Anyway, I'm going off on a tangent here. So back to the scan. So I get the scan and I'm thinking that my first prayer was just let it be shrink, let it shrink. And then I had this voice say, well, if anything is possible, what would you want to have? And again, this is what I tell people all the time. If anything was possible, what would you want to have? Well, for me, I would not want to have any disease. I would want to be disease free, right? I would want to have nothing on the scan. And so I just kept thinking about that and meditating on that, praying around that, and just seeing myself clean or clear, right? And when the scan came back, when we were talking about the results, they're like, yeah, we got your scan back. It doesn't show anything. And the way that he said it was so nonchalant, not excited, not of course it's gone, and I don't think I let it set in for probably a month. So, here we are in May, and this was the end of April. I mean, not the end of April, sorry, the end of March. And I probably said April, but I meant March. I don't know. Anyway, so yeah, just the way the doctor had said it was it was not a big deal, And so I kind of just let it set there, and then I said, well, what about the 4 centimeter mass on the right breast? Because that was very concerning to me, and they wouldn't do surgery on it, which is, thank God. I feel like that's a miracle in itself. No radiation, no surgery. And he goes, no, it's gone. He goes, here, I'll show you. So he shows me the scan. There's no mass. There's no, the lymph node that was on the right was 1.5 centimeters, totally, totally gone, aside from a little tiny pinprick. Literally, that's the only thing that showed up on the scan. They do is they give you this stuff called contrast, which it's basically sugar, glucose, lights up any and all bad cancer cells. And so that was this little tiny pin prick, I guess, maybe even smaller than that lit up. That was it. So this is amazing. And I have been, I almost couldn't believe it. I was in shock. And it took me a while for it to even start to sink in, this is a real thing, this is a real thing. And it wasn't until I went to another appointment, I had another treatment, and I went to this other appointment and I met with the nurse, and I just said, I started asking questions. I was like, well, what does this mean? There's nothing on the scan. does this mean like I'm in remission? Like what language do I put on this? I don't really know. And she said something that meant everything to me, which was there's no evidence of disease. This is according to the person that did the scan. There's nothing, nothing. Like, other than that little pinpoint that I was telling you about on the lymph node. And I had a visceral reaction in my body when she said no evidence of disease, because it's something I've been praying for. It was like, let there be no evidence of disease. God says whatever we ask for, he'll give us. And that's what I want, right? Like, I don't want it. I don't want to be in disease. So, no evidence of disease. When she said that, I was like, okay, this is the best day. This is the best day ever. It was a good day because it was my 12th round of chemo, which is done with chemo, no more of that. I will never ever do chemo again. I will just proclaim that right now. It's not going to happen again. That's it. So we're done. We're done with that. So thank God we're done. I will have another scan in June. I'm not out of scans or any of that stuff. In the miracle model, with the miracle model, I mean, not miracle, sorry, opposite, the medical model, there's not a lot of hope, right? Like, there's not a lot of like, yeah, well, it's a miracle. It's more of like, we'll just see what happens, right? And I am going to be in the miracle model because I just think it feels better to me. I feel hopeful. I feel faithful. I feel like anything is possible if we believe that. And if I buy into the fear that like it's going to come back, I'm going to be on edge. I'm going to be waiting for the other shoe to drop. And anyone that says that to somebody, by the way, which I will do a whole video on maybe after this, is that it's probably a very dangerous thing to say to somebody that is survived when I've gone through, or whatever disease it is that you have, or whatever sickness, or I've seen people paralyzed that have come back from that. So I think it's damaging to say to somebody that survived something like that, well, it could always come back. I just really feel like that's totally a statement from the enemy, or an enemy. the enemy of like fear, right? Like, let's just put you right back in fear so that you can be in flight or fight response and create more bad cells in your body, right? This is not what we want, and nobody wants that. So please don't say that to yourself or to anybody else. I had a couple comments on a post about, oh, well, it could always come back. You know what? I just choose to not live in that space. So please don't say that. Like, definitely not to me. And definitely not to somebody that's, they're on a positive path. Like, please don't. Like, I think that the best thing that we could do for each other is really encourage each other. When I go out, however I go out, I'm going to go out with faith and positivity and dreaming and all of that. I'm not going to change any of it. It's just, that's what we're going to be doing. I'm not accepting defeat here. So I just really, I'm incredibly grateful for this experience, believe it or not. And it's opened up my eyes to so many things. And I really believe that God has me on a mission to help other people with this exact thing of like, how do I live in faith in a world of fear? How do I do that? How do I stay positive? Not that we're always going to be Pollyanna positive, right? Like, that's a thing. You don't want to be in that. Like, we also have life happens, and we're going to have downs, and we're not always going to be, oh my God, let's just all be positive and everything's fine. No, I'm not saying that. It's just, God, we need to look at all the planes that are landing versus all the ones that are crashing. right? It's like, oh my God, there's another one that died from cancer. Oh my God, there's another person that died from this, or did, this tragic thing happened to them. Well, what about all the success? Let's look at those. Let's look at all the miracle stories. Like the person that, was paralyzed from the neck down and is starting to walk. Like, those are the stories I want to hear. If you have one of those stories, please share it with me, because we need more of this in our life, in our world. Unlike, I turn to my right and I turn to my left and somebody else has cancer. This is really happening, right? There's so much disease and depression and repression and not expression, right? Like, let's get the world in a more positive place, in a more faithful, and a more of like anything is possible place, instead of disease and suffering. Okay, I think I'm off my soapbox for this video. Till the next one, which I'll be doing right away. Anyway, please take care of yourself. Take care of your body. Take care of your mental health. Just take care of you and live you.